Peter here from Full Spectrum Performance, and today's video is jam-packed with deliciousness because it's seitan bacon and a nice breakfast hash with a poached egg tutorial. So get ready to make a delicious feast to kickstart your morning. Let's get to it. And yes, the seitan bacon is the centerpiece of our breakfast hash this morning, but we can't forget about the rest of these amazing ingredients. So we're going to start from the left and work our way to the right. We have 1 yellow onion, 6 shiitake mushrooms, 2 carrots, 1 zucchini, 1 bell pepper. As you see here, I use half, one of each color of your choice, and a sprig of basil. Now in our seitan, whatever you're looking to make for your bacon, this is going to be 1/4 of your loaf. And this is our extra special sauce to be used for your bacon. Here we have 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, black pepper, 3 tablespoons of maple syrup, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, and 1/4 teaspoon of that Worcestershire sauce. Now jumping into our hash, we have 2 russet potatoes, and in our seasoning for the potatoes, we have 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, oregano flakes, basil flakes, black pepper, and salt. We can't forget about the dip and the spread, and that's going to have to be 1 avocado and some leftover sourdough bread. This is going to be enough for 5 pieces of toast. And the technique feature of today's video is going to be poached eggs. So here we have 2 farm fresh eggs purchased from the farmer's market this morning. Now, if you don't have your own chickens, support your local farmer's market. But let's get these veggies prepped. Now the best part about the veggie prep is you can always do this the night before, so you don't have to worry about the most extensive part for this dish. But as you can see here, everything's chopped up into nice little squares, and you can see everything nice here. Now, everything here is separated because of how it's going to be cooked. So we're going to throw the primary ingredients into the pot so it can go ahead and cook and brown, and we're going to hold off on the mushrooms and the basil because we're going to throw these in last in the cooking process. So let's go ahead and take these over to the stove. Here we have 1/2 tablespoon of avocado oil that's already been preheated in the Dutch oven. We're at about a medium-high heat, so roughly around 7 out of 10. And we're just going to go ahead and mix this and let these brown. Just make sure you stir everything pretty frequently. There is a lot of moisture in the veggies, so they're going to help you avoid the burning process. So you're really just going to let this sit and stir occasionally. And in between letting this cook, we're just going to go ahead and prep those potatoes real quick. So we'll come back here and check on the veggies in just a few minutes. So everything in here has been cooking for about 6 minutes. As you can see, there still is some browning on the bottom, but that's not really a big concern here. Just make sure everything's still mixed. Now, from here, we're going to turn the heat down to about a medium, a little bit above that, about 5 and 6, to add those mushrooms and the basil, just to really let these cook. You're just going to want to really distribute them on top, just so they can let all those flavors soak up. Because they cook pretty fast, you don't need to actually stir and mix it up on the bottom too much. And you want to avoid that just so it doesn't burn. Now, the best thing about the Dutch oven is that it's going to keep retaining that heat. So from here, we're just going to go ahead and give it a nice little jostle, a gentle mix and stir. And we're actually going to take this off the heat and just set this all to the side. The next item to prepare for our breakfast hash with the seitan bacon is these potatoes. So let's get to it. And here we have it. We have our potatoes, nice and cubed. I'm a big fan of the centimeter cube technique. Let's just start it up just because I'm really excited to make this hash. So let's take these over to the stove to prep. So from here we have a tablespoon of coconut butter. Our pan is already hot. Now our pan is at a medium heat. It's slightly above between the 5 and the 6. And right there is what you're looking for, that nice sizzle right when you drop those down. Just make sure you go ahead and quickly stir and mix the butter in all of the potatoes just so it can get a nice even coloring while you're cooking all the potatoes. Now the key here is that you do want to make sure that you're really vigorously stirring and mixing everything up in this early process so none of the potatoes are sticking together in their initial cooking. And other than that, we're just going to keep cooking this and mixing it gently. Now from here, we're really just going to let these sit and cook, and we're going to check back in just a second for our flipping and occasional jostle. Now once the potatoes start to really sing and give you that nice whistle, that's when we're going to start to really mix them up first. And then every other minute, then you're going to go ahead and flip these. Again, you don't want to overly mix it because then you're going to break down the potato and it's going to turn into more of a mash. So just give it enough time to really cook, solidify, get a nice golden brown crust, and then mix them around. In the meantime, let's go cut our seitan bacon slices. Now, if you're looking for the perfect texture to your bacon, I really recommend about a pinky's nail's worth or a partial finger width, really just because that's going to give you the best texture. Once we cook it, add the sauce, and it's going to go ahead and caramelize and sizzle up for us. But overall, as cooking goes, it's to your preference. So go ahead and experiment, find your perfect cut of bacon, and most importantly, enjoy the process. And even if you look here, some of the bacon slices are going to be a little bit different, so there's always going to be that variety of texture in it. It's always going to be delicious. It doesn't really matter what you do. Just enjoy making your bacon, cuz look at that. Look at that. Those slices are going to be delicious. I can't wait to cook these up. But now that these are all done, we got to go check on those potatoes to make sure that they're nice and properly browned and crisp for our breakfast hash. So let's keep this video rolling. And as you can see here, our potatoes are browned. We got our last flip in so they can get that nice little crisp on the bottom. And from here, you're going to go ahead and get that tasty, savory, delicious mixture of seasoning. So we can go ahead and give this a nice mix. And the reason why we're doing our potatoes like this is because they do cook in butter. And you're just going to want to give them some time to kind of let that extra fat get soaked up once we place these into a bowl with a paper towel on them. But most importantly, just make sure that your seasoning's nice and mixed thoroughly well so all of the potatoes are evenly coated. And again, I just want to say you want to cook the potatoes first because you're going to use the same pan that you cook your bacon in as you used for your potatoes, and all of those extra seasoning flavor bits are going to be left over just to amplify the seitan bacon. So we're in our final mix and jostle, and you're just going to make sure everything's done thoroughly because those extra seasoning flavor bits are going to go ahead and soak up some of the starch and fat and adhere to the potatoes even more, so you got a nice seasoned hash. And everything's all done, so we're going to move these to over here and just let this rest and cool. And now it's time for the seitan bacon. Here in our pan, again, still at that medium to medium high heat, we're going to go ahead and melt 2 tablespoons of coconut butter and add our seitan to fill up this pan. Give your pan a nice jostle to kind of coat the bottom evenly of all of the seitan slices, and just let these cook and brown for a moment before we flip them. Now the best thing about the seitan bacon is that it cooks relatively quick, so just go ahead and keep an eye on it. Make sure that you're just shaking the pan around so all that buttery goodness soaks up into the seitan bacon, and we're going to flip these. Now with the bacon, it does get pretty hot considering the oil, so go ahead and just use a fork to flip it. And as you can see here, you're looking for that nice even browning. And you don't really need to cook it too long. You're really just looking for that coloring. Because the marinade sauce has sugar in it, it's going to help these caramelize and crisp up in the end. This is really just to kind of maintain the texture so it's not soft all the way through, because it'll give you that nice variety in texture like a real slice of bacon. Now you're just going to give them a quick check. Because this is a quick process, you're just going to make sure just when the browning process starts to happen for that bottom side, then you're going to really set that sauce up to smother over these bacon slices. So use a nice little brush and simply coat the top of the pieces of bacon. If you don't have a brush, check out the link in the description, or what you can use is a napkin. It's going to get a little messy, but ideally you want to try to use a brush just because you can get 2 at a time while you're doing it and give that vigorous brushing to really make sure that that seasoning and sauce really get in there. And once you're done with the sauce, you're going to go ahead and flip it and come right back with our brush to get the other side so it can continue this caramelization process to make your seitan bacon. Now the reason why I like this marinated sauce is because it does give you that candied bacon texture, which is extra delicious. And if you have any extra, just make sure you just distribute that evenly on the seitan bacon. And from here, we're just going to go ahead and flip them and give them a nice little browning on the other side. Whew, and look at that. I wish you can smell the aromas in this kitchen, but most importantly, I hope you're doing this on your own so you can smell them yourself because it is delicious. Now I'm going to go ahead and try some of these little tiny bacon bits. Woo! Let's go! Oh my gosh, this is so tasty. I can really never get enough of seitan bacon. There's just so much versatility in this dish. I love it. And once these are finished browning up on that other side, all we're going to do is just throw them on a regular plate, just like here, because they're going to cool for a little bit so they can complete their process and transformation to make seitan bacon. Now, the reason why you do these second to last is because a poached egg takes 3.5 minutes, so it doesn't take much time at all. And by the time those are done, everything's going to be ready to plate. So let's get to it. Now I'm incredibly excited because look at that. Look at that piece of bacon you got there. It's a nice thick cut. It's going to give you the chew and the flavor of a real slice of bacon. But we got to keep this breakfast medley moving. Now here we have the water for our poached egg at slightly below a 4. You're really not looking to have it too hot or boiling because it's going to mess the texture of the eggs up and it's really going to make it difficult to poach your eggs. So what you're looking for here is nice tiny bubbles on the bottom. You know when your water is ready when you scrape those bubbles off the bottom and they instantly start to reform right on the bottom. But as you can see here, as we scrape these, they're not getting replaced too quickly, so we're just going to let this water rest for a little bit. Now, Full disclosure, when you are making a poached egg, a little tip you can use is to add vinegar to your water. Here I have 2 tablespoons of vinegar in the water, purely because I'm using 2 eggs. So that ratio of vinegar to water is going to be 1 tablespoon for every egg you're using. So it was really only another 30-40 seconds of waiting and our water is ready. Those bubbles are immediately coming back up once we start to scrape the bottom. It's still not vigorously boiling, but it's still got a nice little heat to it. Now from here, a little bonus step is you can add a tablespoon of your favorite hot sauce just to increase the flavor of the poached egg a little bit more while it's cooking in its nice little bubble bath. Now if you're not comfortable and this is your first time making poached eggs, I really don't recommend using the hot sauce because it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to see. Now regardless if you're using the hot sauce or not, you're going to make sure you still get that centripetal force moving and give this water a nice mixture, dropping it in gently, because that's going to help pull the yolk and the egg white together so everything stays in a nice little pouch while you're cooking your eggs. And you can see it start to mix already. We're just going to kind of help this out and encourage it so we can get that egg white to really form around that yolk again to make that nice pouch and pocket. You just got to coach it up a little bit. Now once that first egg's in there, you're going to want to give it another spin so we can drop our second egg in there. And again, as you can see, we're just going to go ahead and coach it up a little bit, put that egg white around, separate it a little bit just because their tendency is to kind of stick together. So just go ahead and separate it. We have 3 minutes and 30 seconds. The timer starts, the lid's on, and we'll check back in right at that 3 minutes and 30 second mark. So hold on tight. And our timer has gone off. Turn the heat off, grab your slotted spoon, and go ahead and retrieve your eggs. And ooh, look at that. That is a nice little pillow. That's exactly what you're looking for. It should have a little bit of that wiggle, but you shouldn't be able to see any raw egg white remaining. It's all a nice fluffy texture, and again, it has a nice little bounce to it. So let's go ahead and plate this. And here we have it, folks, our breakfast hash with seitan bacon featuring that poached egg. And let's go ahead and cut into this, and ooh, this is exactly what you're looking for, folks. That nice velvety texture of the egg yolk leaking all over those veggies and potatoes. And I can't resist this bacon. The smell and aromas are amazing. So this is like the perfect part of the bacon texture. I love it. It replicates that fat, that crunch, that chew. It's delicious. And we got that sourdough, we got the veggies, we got the potatoes, we got the avocado. It is the perfect breakfast combination. Now, if you're not going to mix it with the potatoes and the rest of the seasonings on the veggies and everything, remember the egg yolk is pure fat, so it's going to be pretty intense flavor. So what I recommend is just sprinkling a little bit of extra salt and seasoning over the top of it just to add that extra flavor. But as always, mix it with your potatoes and the veggies and you're going to get that perfect bite every time. This is the perfect way to start your day. This is a nice, delicious seitan bacon special with your breakfast hash and poached egg. And that's it. Go ahead and enjoy. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, and if you can, please share and hit the subscribe button. Slam that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content from myself and Full Spectrum Performance. I love you so much. Let someone you know you love them. Take care. I hope you enjoyed that seitan bacon special with your breakfast hash and poached egg. That's all we wrote, folks. So, go ahead and enjoy. Peace.